Imagine for a moment that the very person you trusted, the one you gave your time, your love, your loyalty to, turns around and hurts you. That kind of pain doesn't just cut deep. It shakes you. It makes you question yourself, your worth, and sometimes even your ability to trust again. But here's the thing. What if I told you that instead of breaking down, instead of chasing answers, instead of trying to make sense of why he did what he did, you could flip the script? What if I told you that the most powerful move you could ever make is not begging for clarity, not fighting for closure, but standing so strong, so unshaken that it leaves him more confused than he ever thought he could be? See, when someone hurts you, they expect a reaction. They expect you to fall apart, to lash out, to cry, to chase, to demand explanations. They want to see the impact of their actions written all over your face. But what if instead you gave them silence where they expected tears, composure where they expected chaos, strength where they expected weakness? That's when the power shifts. That's when you stop being the one who's confused and you start being the one who confuses them. This isn't about revenge. It's not about playing games. It's about reclaiming your power in such a way that the person who hurt you can't wrap their head around how you stayed unshaken. It's about turning the tables without ever lifting a finger against them. And by the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly how to do that, how to respond in a way that not only protects your peace, but leaves him wondering what just happened. When someone hurts you, the first instinct most people have is to react. You want to lash out, you want to demand an explanation, you want to scream, cry, and let them know just how much pain they've caused you. That's human, that's natural. But here's the thing, every time you do that, you are handing them the very power they wanted in the first place. Because when a person hurts you, what they're really doing is trying to control your emotions. They want to see your response. They want to know that they still matter to you, that they still have the ability to push your buttons, to shake your confidence, to make you doubt yourself. And the second you give them that reaction, they win. Taking back your power begins with a decision. It's the decision to say, I will not let you control how I feel. I will not let you dictate how I move. You may have tried to hurt me, but you don't get to see me break. And I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. Because the urge to respond, to defend yourself, to fight back, it's strong. But strength doesn't live in how loud you get or how fast you clap back. Strength lives in restraint. It lives in silence. It lives in self-control. Think about it. What happens when you don't give them the reaction they were counting on? What happens when they send you that hurtful text and instead of firing back paragraphs, you don't respond at all? What happens when they push you, expecting you to snap and instead you stay calm, composed, unbothered? You confuse them. You take away their power because the only reason their actions matter is if you let them matter. The moment you stop feeding it, the moment you stop handing over your emotions on a silver platter, the dynamic changes. People underestimate the power of silence. Silence can be louder than any words you could ever say. When you choose silence, you're not saying you don't care. You're saying, I care too much about myself to waste my energy on you. Silence forces the other person to sit with their own actions, their own guilt, their own confusion. And that's where the power is. Because you're not giving them clarity. You're not giving them closure. You're not even giving them the satisfaction of knowing what you think or feel. You leave them guessing. And when they're guessing, they're not in control. You are. Taking back your power also means shifting your focus. Stop making it about them. Stop replaying the hurt in your head, trying to understand why they did it. Sometimes you'll never know why. And sometimes the truth is they don't even know why themselves. But that's not your burden to carry. The moment you stop obsessing over their why and start focusing on your own healing, your own goals, your own peace, that's when you start to rise above the hurt. That's when you take back your energy and invest it where it matters in you. Picture this, a man who thought he could break you, who thought he could manipulate your emotions, suddenly watching you thrive. He sees you not chasing, not crying, not begging, but standing strong, leveling up, looking unshaken. That is the deepest form of confusion, because in his mind he expected you to crumble. He expected you to give him control, but you didn't. And that's the part he can't understand. That's the part that will keep him up at night. But let me be clear, taking back your power is not about pretending you don't feel pain. You're human. You will feel it. You'll hurt. You'll cry. And that's okay. But you don't let him see it. You don't put your wounds on display for the very person who caused them. You deal with your pain privately. You heal quietly. And then you rise publicly. That's how you reclaim your dignity. That's how you protect your strength. Understand this. Every reaction you give is an investment. When you pour your anger, your sadness, your explanations into someone who has already shown they don't value you, you are investing in emptiness. But when you take that same energy and invest it back into yourself, your growth, your confidence, your peace, that's when you see real returns. That's when you take the power they tried to steal and use it to build something better. And let's talk about control. Control doesn't mean being cold or heartless. Control doesn't mean you don't feel anything. Control means you are the master of your emotions, not the other person. Because the one who controls the emotions controls the situation. When you lose your temper, when you break down in front of them, when you let them see you fall apart, you're giving them control. But when you stay calm, when you keep your composure, when you refuse to let them shake your peace, that's when you hold the real power. So the next time someone hurts you, before you react, stop, breathe, ask yourself, if I respond right now, who benefits? Do I benefit? Or do they? 9 times out of 10, your reaction only feeds their ego, but your silence, your self-control, that benefits you, that protects your peace, and it starves them of the power they were looking for. Taking back your power is about knowing that your value isn't measured by how someone treats you. Your worth isn't determined by their actions. When you remember that, when you hold on to it, you stop needing their validation. You stop chasing their approval. And that freedom, that unshakable confidence, it's priceless. So don't give them your reaction. Don't hand them your power. Hold your ground. Protect your peace. Because the one who stays calm in the storm, the one who refuses to break, that's the one who truly wins. When someone hurts you, it's usually not a one-time accident. It often comes after a series of small tests, small ways they check how much you'll tolerate, how far they can push you, and how little they can give without you walking away. The truth is, people only treat you the way you allow them to. That's why boundaries are so important. Boundaries aren't walls to shut people out. Boundaries are lines that teach people how to treat you. And the moment you start setting them, you take away the ability of anyone, especially someone who tries to manipulate or hurt you, to control your life. Boundaries are not about them. They are about you. They are about your standards, your peace, and your self-respect. When someone crosses a line and you don't speak up, you are silently agreeing that it's okay. You're giving them permission to repeat it. And manipulators, people who thrive on control, will keep pushing as long as you keep allowing. But when you draw that line and enforce it, they can no longer use confusion or guilt as a weapon. They're forced to face the reality that they cannot walk all over you. Setting boundaries doesn't always mean you have to announce them with speeches. Sometimes the strongest boundary is action. If someone talks to you with disrespect, your boundary can be walking away, cutting the conversation short, refusing to argue. If someone constantly takes advantage of your kindness, your boundary can be saying no without guilt. If someone thinks they can hurt you and then charm their way back into your life, your boundary can be silence and distance. Boundaries aren't always spoken. They are in the way you move, the choices you make, the behaviors you refuse to entertain. Here's the thing about boundaries. At first, people won't like them, especially the ones who benefit from you not having any. The manipulator will get frustrated. They'll call you difficult, cold, or selfish. They'll accuse you of changing. And you know what? They're right. You are changing. You're no longer the person who lets someone's bad behavior slide. You're no longer the person who says yes out of fear of losing them. You're no longer the person who allows pain just to keep the peace. And yes, that will confuse them, because the old version of you was predictable, easy to control. The new version of you, unstoppable. Boundaries are also about clarity. They send a clear message. This is how I expect to be treated. And if you can't meet that, You don't get access to me. And that's the part most people who hurt you can't handle. They don't want clear rules. They thrive in confusion. Because confusion makes you second guess yourself. Confusion keeps you hooked, keeps you chasing, keeps you explaining. But clarity ends the game. Clarity says, I don't play this back and forth. Either you respect me or you lose me. And let me tell you something powerful. Boundaries protect your peace more than anything else. Think of your peace as a house. Every time you let someone in, without rules, without limits, you're letting them track mud on your floors, break your furniture, leave chaos behind. Boundaries are the locks on your doors, the fences around your yard, the rules that keep your home safe. They don't just keep people out, they keep the wrong people out. They allow you to decide who deserves access to your space and who doesn't. When you enforce a boundary, the manipulator may try to twist it. They may accuse you of being cruel. They may say, you don't care. They may try guilt, silence, or even anger to make you bend. But remember this, every time you stand firm, every time you refuse to be moved, you remind them that you cannot be manipulated. And nothing confuses a manipulator more than realizing their tricks no longer work on you. Boundaries are not about punishment. They are about self-respect. You're not setting them to control anyone else. You're setting them to control yourself, to control what you allow into your world, to protect your time, your energy, and your heart. And here's the beauty of it. When you set strong boundaries, you don't just keep the wrong people out. You invite the right people in, the ones who respect you, value you, and honor your standards. Because the truth is, healthy people love boundaries. Only unhealthy people fight against them. Imagine how confusing it is for a man who thought he could play with your emotions, push your buttons, and get away with it, suddenly finding out that those doors are closed, that access denied, that he doesn't get to walk in and out of your life as he pleases. That shock, that frustration, that confusion, that's the exact power of boundaries. You're no longer available for manipulation. You're no longer an easy target. You've built a fence around your peace, and you've made it clear, if you want to be here, respect is the price of entry. Now, let me make this clear. Boundaries don't always mean cutting someone off completely. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it's as simple as saying, you don't get that side of me anymore. Maybe they get less of your time. Maybe they get no access to your emotion. Maybe they get nothing but polite, surface-level responses. Boundaries can be subtle, but they are powerful because they remind you and them that you are in control of your life. So many people confuse boundaries with walls, but walls keep everyone out, even the good ones. Boundaries keep the wrong ones out, while making space for the right ones. Boundaries are not about living in fear. They're about living with strength. They're about saying, I know my worth and I refuse to discount it for anyone. When you learn to set boundaries, you not only protect yourself from future pain, you also heal from past pain. Because every time you enforce one, you're telling yourself, I matter, my peace matters, my dignity matters. And that inner shift is more powerful than anything anyone else could ever give you. So remember this, manipulators thrive in a world where you have no boundaries. They win when you're confused, when you're always saying yes, when you're afraid to lose them. But the moment you set clear lines, the moment you enforce them without apology, the game ends. And nothing is more confusing to someone who thought they had control than realizing they don't anymore. One of the greatest mistakes people make after they've been hurt is believing they owe the other person an explanation. You want them to understand what they did wrong. You want them to see your side, to feel your pain, to acknowledge your worth. And so you explain. You explain why you're upset. You explain why you're walking away. You explain why their behavior crossed the line. But here's the hard truth. Someone who chose to hurt you already knows what they did. They already know the effect of their actions. They don't need an explanation. And the more you explain, the more predictable you become. Predictability makes you easy to read, easy to control, easy to manipulate. If you want to truly take your power back, you stop explaining. You embrace mystery. Mystery is powerful because it unsettles. When you stop over-explaining yourself, when you stop justifying your choices, you create an air of uncertainty. And uncertainty drives manipulators crazy. They want to know what you're thinking. They want to know why you pulled away. They want to know why you didn't respond. But when you give them nothing, when you stay calm, when you walk away without a speech, that silence speaks volumes. Suddenly they're left with questions, not answers. They're left wondering if you care, if you don't care, if you've moved on, if you're plotting something bigger. That confusion is more powerful than any explanation you could ever give. Here's what happens when you overexplain. You hand over your strategy. You tell them exactly what bothers you, exactly what makes you weak, exactly where to poke next time. For example, if you say, "You hurt me when you ignored my calls," you're also telling them, "If you want to hurt me again, ignore me." If you say, "I can't stand when you belittle me in front of others," you're handing them the exact weapon to use against you the next time they want to cut deep. Explanations expose your soft spots, but mystery protects them because they don't know what gets to you. They don't know where to aim. And people can't control what they can't predict. Using mystery doesn't mean you play games or act cold. It means you stop giving free access to your emotions. You stop telling people who hurt you how to hurt you again. Instead, you let your actions do the talking. You let your distance be the answer. You let your silence be the explanation. And trust me, that unsettles people far more than any words ever could. Because human beings crave closure. We crave understanding. When we don't get it, we spiral. We replay conversations. We question ourselves. We try to read between the lines. That's exactly what happens when you give someone mystery. Instead of explanation, you flip the confusion back onto them. Think about it. If you walk away from someone who hurt you without speeches, without drama, just quietly and firmly, what happens? They chase the why. They reach out, asking questions. They try to provoke response. They want to pull you back into explaining yourself. And if you hold your ground, if you stay mysterious, if you keep your reasons to yourself, they start questioning themselves instead. They start wondering, did I misjudge her? Did she stop caring about me? Is she stronger than I thought? That confusion is more powerful than any angry text you could ever send. Mystery also builds respect. When you reveal less, when you keep parts of yourself private, you show that not everyone deserves access to you. You show that you value your emotions enough to protect them. You show that your silence is intentional, not weakness. And over time, people begin to treat you differently. They may not admit it out loud, but deep down, they know they can't figure you out. They can't put you in a box. They can't predict your every move. That makes you powerful. Let me tell you something important. Over-explaining is often a sign of insecurity. It's rooted in a fear of being misunderstood, of being judged, of being abandoned. But strong people, confident people, they don't explain themselves to everyone. They don't defend every choice. They don't justify every action. They know that not everyone deserves an answer, and when you embrace that same confidence, you'll notice something shift. You'll stop caring so much about whether someone gets you, and you'll start caring more about protecting your peace. That's where real strength is. Using mystery also forces you to control your emotions. It's easy to spill everything when you're angry or hurt. It's harder to bite your tongue, to keep your dignity intact, to walk away with your silence. But every time you do, you grow stronger. Every time you hold back from explaining, you teach yourself that your emotions belong to you, not to the person who hurt you. You remind yourself that you don't owe them anything, not your words, not your energy, not your explanations. And here's the ironic part. When you stop explaining, people start respecting you more. Why? Because mystery creates curiosity. Curiosity creates attention, and attention creates value. Think about the people you admire most. They don't tell you everything. They don't broadcast their every thought. They let you wonder. They let you figure it out. That's what makes them captivating. That's what makes them powerful. You can be that same force. You can be the one who leaves others wondering. What's on her mind? What is she going to do next? Why isn't she reacting? That's the kind of confusion that makes you unforgettable. So, the next time someone hurts you and expects you to fall apart, resist the urge to explain yourself. Don't write the long message. Don't list your reasons. Don't waste your breath trying to make them see what they don't want to see. Instead, give them the gift of mystery. Let your silence, your calmness, your composure be the only answer they get. Let them sit with their own confusion. Because at the end of the day, you don't need them to understand you. You need you to understand you. You need you to stand firm, to protect your dignity, to value your peace. Remember this. Explanations satisfy them, but drain you. Mystery confuses them, but empowers you. And when you learn to live in that mystery, you take back every ounce of power they thought they had. When someone hurts you, it's tempting to want revenge. You want them to feel the pain they caused you. You want them to know what it's like to be dismissed, betrayed, or disrespected. That desire is natural. It comes from the raw wound of being mistreated. But revenge keeps you tied to the person who hurt you. Revenge means you are still thinking about them, still revolving your actions around them, still letting them occupy space in your mind. That's not power. That's bondage. Real power isn't in trying to hurt them back. Real power is in rising so far above them that they can't even reach you anymore. Revenge is about looking back. Elevation is about looking forward. If you spend your energy plotting how to get even, you're still playing their game. You're still caught in the cycle they created. But when you shift your focus to yourself, your healing, your growth, your goals, you break free from that cycle. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. And nothing confuses or unsettles someone who hurt you more than watching you succeed without them, thrive without them, and live with peace. They can't disturb. Here's the truth. People expect you to collapse when they hurt you. They expect you to chase closure, to demand explanations, to lose yourself in grief. When you do the opposite, when you pick yourself up, move forward, and elevate, they don't know how to process it. They're waiting for chaos and you give them calm. They're waiting for revenge and you give them indifference. That's what throws them off balance. That's what shifts the power. Think of your life as a stage. When someone hurts you, they want to remain a central character in your story. Revenge keeps them there. It keeps them relevant. But elevation pushes them off the stage entirely. Suddenly the spotlight isn't on them anymore. It's on you. Your progress, your success, your transformation becomes the story. And here's the irony. They'll be forced to watch it. They'll hear about your growth. They'll see the glow on your face. They'll feel the energy shift. And that will sting them far more than anything you could have done in anger. Elevation is not about pretending you're fine. It's about choosing to channel the pain into something productive. Take the hurt and turn it into fuel. Use the betrayal as motivation to push harder in your career, to build the body you've always wanted, to pursue the dream you've been putting off, to invest in your peace and your confidence. Every time you elevate, you are proving, without words, that what was meant to break you only built you stronger. Here's what's powerful. Revenge is loud, but elevation is silent. Revenge screams, "I'm still hurt." Elevation whispers, "I'm untouchable." And people hear that silence louder than anything else. Because when they see you smiling again, living again, thriving again, without needing them, without referencing them, without caring about them, they realize they no longer hold any power over you. Ask yourself this: what do you really want? Do you want to spend your energy on them, or do you want to spend your energy on you? Because every minute spent plotting revenge is a minute stolen from your own progress. Every ounce of energy poured into getting even is energy you could have poured into getting ahead. And the best part, getting ahead is the sweetest revenge there is, because it's not about them at all. It's about you. It's about showing yourself that you are bigger than the pain, bigger than the betrayal, bigger than what they did to you. The truth is, nothing stings more than watching someone you thought you could break come out of the fire shining brighter than ever. That's why elevation confuses them. They expect your world to shrink. Instead, your world expands. They expect you to beg for closure. Instead, you build a new chapter without them. They expect you to cry in the dark. Instead, they see you walking in the light. That's how you flip the script without ever lifting a finger against them. Now let's talk about peace. Peace is the highest form of elevation. When you no longer need revenge, when you no longer need them to feel what you felt, when you no longer crave their validation, that's true freedom. That's when you know you've won, because they can't reach your mind anymore. They can't trigger your emotions anymore. They can't control you anymore. And that serenity, that quiet confidence, is more powerful than any payback you could ever plan. Elevation also creates distance. The higher you rise, the smaller they become in your story. Their actions stop defining you. Their words stop haunting you. Their presence stops mattering. And soon you realize you don't even think about them the way you used to. They're no longer the center of your world. They're just a chapter you've closed, a lesson you've learned. And that realization, that peace, is what confuses them most. Because they thought they would leave a scar that defined you. Instead, you use the wound to write a new story. So don't waste your time plotting revenge. Don't waste your nights replaying their actions in your head. Don't waste your energy trying to hurt them the way they hurt you. That's a losing battle. Instead, rise, build, grow, invest in your peace, focus on your future. Because when you elevate, you win in silence. And nothing, absolutely nothing, confuses someone who hurt you more than watching you live a life that they no longer have access to. The best payback is not revenge. The best payback is indifference. The best payback is success. The best payback is peace. And when you master those, you'll realize you never needed revenge at all. You just needed to rise. When someone hurts you, your ego is the first thing that wants to take over. Your ego whispers, prove them wrong, show them you're stronger, don't let them think they got away with it. Your ego wants revenge, attention, and recognition. But here's the truth. Your ego will keep you tied to the very person who hurt you. Because the ego is all about them. It's about how they see you, how they think about you, whether they regret losing you. And every time you feed that ego, you're still making them the center of your life. But when you choose peace over ego, you free yourself. You stop living for their reaction, and you start living for your healing. That's the real power. Peace is not weakness. Peace is not giving up. Peace is discipline. It's the strength to say, I refuse to let you live rent-free in my mind. Peace is walking away from drama, even when your ego is screaming at you to fight. Peace is choosing silence, not because you don't have anything to say, but because you value your sanity too much to waste it on someone who doesn't deserve it. When you protect your peace, you confuse the person who hurt you. Why? Because they expect the ego. They expect you to argue, to post about them, to send long texts, to show how much they got under your skin. But when you do the opposite, when you stay calm, detached, unbothered, they don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to fight a battle you refuse to participate in. And nothing is more unsettling than realizing they no longer have access to your emotions. Your ego thrives on noise. It wants to be seen and heard. Peace thrives on quiet. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need validation. Peace is about you. It's about your mental health, your emotional balance, your sense of calm. And let me tell you, nothing in life is worth trading your peace for. Not a relationship, not an explanation, not an apology, not revenge. Because once you lose your peace, you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, they've won. Think about the last time you let your ego run the show. You probably said things you regretted, did things that drained you, and ended up feeling worse, not better. The ego feeds on chaos, but peace leaves you steady. Peace leaves you clear. Peace allows you to respond, not react. And in that clarity, you realize you never needed to fight them. You just needed to rise above them. Protecting your peace also means protecting your space. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone should be allowed to speak into your life. The moment someone shows you they can't handle your heart with care, you have a choice. Protect your ego and keep fighting to prove yourself to them, or protect your peace and walk away. Protecting your ego keeps you stuck. Protecting your peace sets you free. It's not about letting people get away with bad behavior. It's about not sacrificing your well-being just to prove a point. Because here's the truth. You don't need to prove anything. Not to them, not to the world. Your value isn't up for debate. The way someone treats you says more about them than it does about you. When you understand that, you stop letting their actions dictate your peace. Peace is also about choosing your battles wisely. Every battle doesn't deserve your energy. Every insult doesn't deserve a response. Every betrayal doesn't deserve a counterattack. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know your energy is better spent elsewhere. Your peace is a currency. Spend it on growth, on joy, on love, on things that build you, not on arguments that drain you. When you choose peace over ego, you also send a powerful message to yourself. You're telling yourself, I matter, my healing matters, my sanity matters. That self-respect builds confidence. It makes you stronger, calmer, more resilient. And over time, it changes how you show up in every area of your life. You stop chasing validation. You stop needing closure. You stop letting people's opinions control you. You become centered, steady, grounded. That's what real strength looks like. And here's the best part. When you protect your peace, you win by default. You don't need to shout about your progress. You don't need to flaunt your success. Your calmness becomes your weapon. Your silence becomes your shield. Your happiness becomes your answer. And the person who hurt you will feel that shift, even if you never say a word, because peace is visible, peace radiates, peace is undeniable. Now, let me warn you, your ego won't like this. Your ego will keep pulling you back, telling you that you need to prove yourself. It will try to convince you that peace is weakness. But every time you resist, every time you choose calm over chaos, you weaken the ego's grip on you. And eventually you'll realize the ego was never protecting you. It was keeping you chained to the very pain you were trying to escape. Protecting your peace is the ultimate power move. Because anyone can argue, anyone can seek revenge, anyone can feed their ego. But it takes real strength, real maturity, real courage to say, I won't let this break me. I won't let this steal my joy. I won't let this disturb my peace. That's where freedom lives. That's where healing begins. So the next time someone hurts you, ask yourself, do I want to protect my ego or my peace? If you protect your ego, you'll stay tied to them, fighting battles that never end. If you protect your peace, you'll rise above them. Free yourself and move forward into a life where they no longer have power over you. And that choosing peace over ego is the kind of strength that not only confuses the one who hurt you, but also transforms you into someone unshakable, unstoppable, and untouchable. There comes a moment after the hurt, after the confusion, after the chaos, when you have to decide who you're going to be. You can stay stuck in the pain, replaying the story over and over, letting it define you. Or you can rise, you can take the very thing that was meant to break you and use it as the foundation for your strength. The truth is, you don't win by reacting. You don't win by chasing. You don't win by proving. You win by refusing to be shaken. You win by building a life so grounded in peace, so full of self-respect, so fueled by growth, that the person who hurt you becomes irrelevant. That is the deepest form of confusion you could ever create, because they'll look for weakness and find none. They'll look for reaction and find silence. They'll look for the old you, the one they could hurt, and realize that person no longer exists. This is not about him anymore. This is about you, about protecting your power, your peace, your dignity, about setting standards so high that no one can walk into your life and play with your heart again, about elevating so far beyond the pain that when they look up, they can't even see you anymore. So don't waste another ounce of your energy trying to make him understand, trying to get even, trying to prove your worth. He doesn't hold that power. You do. And the moment you decide to stop feeding the hurt and start feeding your growth, everything changes. Remember this, the best revenge is no revenge. The best answer is no reaction. The best confusion is your success, your peace, your happiness. Protect your spirit, guard your heart, and walk with dignity. Because when you rise with strength, when you stand unshaken, when you choose peace over ego, you don't just win the battle, you win the war. And that is how you turn hurt into power. That is how you confuse anyone who thought they could break you. And most importantly, that is how you remind yourself of who you are, unshakable, unstoppable, and untouchable.